Imagine you're the captain of a ship. It's midnight, December 15th, 1900. The North Atlantic is howling around you. Black water, black sky. And then, through the dark, you see it. A lighthouse. Or rather, where a lighthouse should be. No light. Not flickering. Not fading. Just gone. You note it in the log. You tell yourself there's a rational explanation. Equipment failure, bad weather, something simple. But what they found 11 days later had no rational explanation. 3 experienced lighthouse keepers. Vanished. No bodies, no wreckage, no farewell. Just an uneaten meal, a stopped clock, and a silence that has lasted over 120 years. To understand what happened on Eilean Mòr, you first need to understand where it is. The Flannan Isles sit 20 miles west of the Outer Hebrides, off the northwest coast of Scotland. 7 small islands, barely more than sea-battered rock and stubborn grass. For centuries, sailors feared them. Ancient charts sometimes labeled them the 7 Hunters. Local fishermen gave them a wider berth than the rocks required. There were stories, superstitions. The islands were named after St. Flannan, a 6th century Irish bishop who built a small chapel there. Shepherds would bring their sheep to graze on the islands in summer, but they would never spend the night. They believed the island was watched. Haunted, some said. Cursed, said others. Even the most hardened fishermen would remove their caps when passing, as if paying respect to something they couldn't name. By 1895, the Northern Lighthouse Board decided the Flannans needed a lighthouse. Too many ships were being lost in those waters. The construction alone was a feat. Everything had to be hauled up 148-foot cliffs directly from supply boats in one of the most exposed places in the British Isles. It cost £1,899 to build. It took 4 years. On December 7th, 1899, just 1 year before the disappearance, the Flannan Isles Lighthouse was lit for the very first time. 3 keepers were assigned to man it at any time, rotating on and off every 2 weeks. In December of 1900, those men were James Ducat, the principal keeper, 43 years old, experienced, dependable. A man who had served the Northern Lighthouse Board for years. He had a wife named Louisa and 4 children, the youngest just 6 years old. Thomas Marshall, second assistant, young, unmarried, survived by his father, brother and sister on the mainland, and Donald McArthur, an occasional keeper, filling in for the regular first assistant, William Ross, who was off sick. He was a last-minute addition to the crew, 3 men, on a rock in the Atlantic. In December, on the night of December 15th, 1900, a transatlantic steamer called the Arctur was making its way from Philadelphia to Leith, Edinburgh. Passing the Flannan Isles at around midnight, the crew noticed the lighthouse was dark. The captain noted it. He was concerned. In bad weather, which it was, a dark lighthouse wasn't just odd. It was dangerous to every ship in those waters. But the Arctur never got to report it quickly. Running aground in the Firth of Forth shortly after, the message took days to reach the Northern Lighthouse Board. A relief vessel, the lighthouse tender Hesperus, was already due to make its routine visit on December 20th. Weather delayed it, so for 11 days after the light went out, no one went to check. For 11 days, ships navigated those waters in the dark. For 11 days, whatever had happened on Eilean Mòr remained undiscovered. December 26th, Boxing Day. The Hesperus, under Captain James Harvey, finally made its approach to the Flannan Isles. As the ship neared the island, the crew noticed something wrong. No flag flying from the flagstaff. No provision boxes left on the landing, the usual sign that the keepers were ready. No men at the railings waiting to be relieved. Captain Harvey ordered the horn sounded. Silence. He fired a rocket into the grey December sky. Silence. Joseph Moore, the relief keeper on board, there to swap with one of the men, volunteered to go ashore alone. He climbed the 160 steps from the jetty up to the lighthouse compound. The entrance gate closed. The main door closed. The kitchen door, the inner one, open. Inside the kitchen, Mòr stopped. The fire was cold, long cold, not just today, but for days. The clock on the wall had stopped. The table was set. A meal had been prepared and left untouched. A chair had been pushed back, or knocked back, from the table. In the corner, a canary sat in its cage, silent. Mòr went through every room. The beds were empty, unmade, left the way men leave them in the early morning, not the way men leave them when they know they're going out. He ran back to the boat. His exact words to the crew when he got back: "The place is deserted." A more thorough search followed, with sailors from the Hesperus. The lamp room was in perfect order, cleaned, fueled, and ready to be lit. All the work of December 15th had been completed. Everything was in order. Except the men were gone. The next day, Mòr and the sailors who'd volunteered to stay searched the entire island from end to end. The east landing, where the boat normally came in, showed nothing. Ropes in their places, no signs of disturbance. But the west landing was different. Iron railings along the path connecting the railway to the landing had been ripped from their foundations. Sections of railing around the crane were broken and gone. A large storage box that was normally bolted halfway up the cliff railway, gone. Just gone. Ropes lay strewn across the rocks near the crane. Some force, had been at the west landing. And then there were the coats. Thomas Marshall's oilskin coat was gone. James Ducat's waterproof coat, gone. But Donald McArthur's coat, still hanging on its hook inside the lighthouse. This is the detail that haunts people most, because McArthur was an experienced man, in December, on a cliff edge in the North Atlantic. He never went outside without a coat, so either he left in such sudden, overwhelming panic that he had no time to grab it, or he was never given the choice. Now, here's where we need to be careful. For decades, the story of the Flannan Isle disappearance came bundled with a dramatic logbook, vivid entries describing storms of supernatural ferocity, Marshall weeping uncontrollably, Ducat trembling, praying. Entries that described men pushed to the edge of sanity. The final entry, famously attributed to the logbook, was supposed to read, "Storm ended, sea calm, God is over all." It's a perfect, chilling ending to the story. And it was almost certainly fabricated. Historians and investigators have since concluded that the dramatic logbook entries, the ones about weeping keepers and uncanny storms, were invented, most likely originating from a 1912 poem called Flannan Isle by Wilfred Wilson Gibson. The poem was so atmospheric and so widely circulated that its fictional details became accepted as fact in later retellings. What the actual records show is this. The last written log entries were for December 13th. The 14th and 15th were recorded on a slate. Routine readings, temperature, barometer, wind, all complete, all normal. And then the slate ends. No drama, no final words, just data, and then nothing. Theory 1, the official verdict, swept away by the sea. Robert Muirhead, the lighthouse board superintendent who personally recruited all 3 men, travelled to the Flannan Isles to lead the investigation himself. His conclusion: 2 of the keepers, Ducat and Marshall, had gone to the west landing to check on or secure equipment during a storm. McArthur, who went without his coat, likely ran out after them in a hurry when something went wrong. A massive wave, what sailors call a rogue wave or sneaker wave, struck the west landing and swept all 3 men into the sea. This fits the physical evidence: the torn railings, the missing storage box, the ropes scattered on the rocks. It fits the clothing: 2 men in oilskins, 1 in shirt sleeves, as if he ran out in haste. What it doesn't fit, the weather records. Ships in the area reported calm seas on December 15th. Muirhead acknowledged this, but argued that the west side of the island could experience dramatically different conditions to what the open sea recorded. Later meteorological analysis has partially supported this. The island's cliff shape can focus and amplify wave energy in ways that make individual impacts unpredictable. Theory 2. The rogue wave variance. Some researchers have dug deeper into the meteorological record and found that a significant storm did strike the Flannan Isles region between December 12th and 15th. Log entries from other ships reported violent conditions in the area. The lighthouse itself was designed to withstand the worst the Atlantic could throw at it, but the west landing was exposed. The working theory for many historians: during a break in weather on the afternoon of the 15th, the three men went to the west landing to check for storm damage and were struck by an unexpected rogue wave. Rogue waves, once dismissed as sailors' myths, are now well documented by modern oceanography. They can appear in otherwise calm conditions, exceeding surrounding wave heights by a factor of 2 or 3. On a cliff ledge with compromised railings, a rogue wave would have given them no chance. Theory 3. The darker possibilities. Then there are the theories the official record doesn't entertain. Could one man have lost his mind? Isolation, winter darkness, the relentless noise of the sea, and attacked the others? Could there have been an accident in the lighthouse itself? Some have speculated about an explosion or a gas leak or a structural failure, but none of the physical evidence supports any of this. The lighthouse was undamaged. The lamp was ready. There was no blood, no sign of violence. And then, of course, there are the stories. The island's reputation, the folklore, the shepherds who never stayed the night, the sailors who removed their caps. For people drawn to the unexplained, Eilean Mòr has become a place of pilgrimage, a location where something older than reason is said to linger in the cliffs. No serious investigator endorses this, but it speaks to something real. The way this case refuses to close. James Ducat, Thomas Marshall, Donald McArthur. In the official records of the Northern Lighthouse Board, all three men are listed in the register of deaths for the district of Carloway. Cause of death? Probably drowning. Probably. That word has to carry a lot of weight, because it's the only honest word available. Ducat left behind Louisa and 4 children. His youngest was 6 years old. None of them ever learned what happened to him. Marshall left behind a father, a brother, a sister. McArthur left behind a wife and 2 children. The lighthouse was remanned and continued operating for decades. It was eventually automated in 1971. It still flashes its light across the Atlantic today. I think the most unsettling thing about this case isn't the supernatural framing, it's the opposite. The most unsettling thing is how mundane the evidence is. An uneaten meal, a stopped clock, a coat on a hook. These aren't clues left by a monster. They're clues left by ordinary men living an ordinary day who stepped outside and simply never came back. Whatever the truth is, it's somewhere out there on the west landing of Eilean Mòr, at the bottom of 148-foot cliffs, beneath the kind of water that doesn't give things back. If you want to visit, and some people do, the lighthouse is still there, empty, silent, waiting.